Hello and welcome to the Other 14 FC podcast. I'm Alex, Crystal Palace fan.
And I'm Tom, a West Ham fan.
This is your new home for everything not top six. Tired of your team being last on match of the day and not getting the flowers they deserve? Well, we're here to change that. What have we got for listeners this week, Tom?
So the dust has settled, the agents can chill out, and Fabrizio Romano can fuck off now. The transfer window has slammed shut, as Sky Sports would say, but don't slam windows, boys and girls. Given the annoyingly early international break, we're going to rank our top 5 transfer arrivals for the other 14 teams. How you been, mate?
Yeah, all good. It'd been nice having a weekend without football and it kind of let me revive myself a bit after being so ill last week. So yeah, I feel a bit more normal. I probably still sound a little bit under the weather, but apart from that, all good. I'm not going to lie to you, I don't want to talk about international football in this pod, so don't even... I know you don't watch any English national football for sure, so don't even come at me with anything else. But yeah, how you been?
Yeah, well, good man. I've watched no international football. The NFL kicked off this weekend and I've had a few days off work, so I've been staying up till ungodly hours of the morning watching Americans toss around a football. It's been great. The Bills-Ravens game the other night was unreal. Like, the kickoff game was really interesting. There were some weather delays. It had everything. And then, unfortunately, my Chicago Bears got beat last night in typical heartbreaking fashion. So, yeah, I'm glad NFL's back, baby.
Mate, you just can't escape misery, whatever sports team you support, can you?
Not at all. No, last year was the most miserable for me. Like, Dortmund were rubbish, West Ham were awful, Bears were terrible. Like, yeah, I know how to pick them.
Mate, all I can say is you deserve it. You deserve it. Oh, cool. I think we learned some news today, haven't we? That's just broke. Do you want to tell us?
Yeah, last 24 hours we've seen some movement on a story we've been sort of talking about for a few weeks. Nuno Espírito Santo is out at Nottingham Forest and has been replaced by Marinakis' big Greek mate, Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, I think every Forest fan I'd spoken to saw this coming and saw it coming in the exact way it has. They're like, we'll get to the international break and then right at the end of the international break we'll sack him. And it's just, they're like, how did they know?
The timing is weird. The timing of it is weird. Like, they must have had some like intense talks over the last week and a half since that West Ham game, and just got to the point in the last 24 hours where the relationships couldn't be mended, mainly between Nuno and Edu, as we discussed. That seemed to be the big breaking point, but then Marinakis seemed to sort of take that personally, that Nuno wasn't getting on with Edu, and yeah, so they've brought in Ange Postecoglou to replace him, and I have a few thoughts on it. Like, I think it's a very bold decision to change. Like, I don't think you could get more of like a polar opposite manager from Nuno Espírito Santo's like quite like a very, very low block, like defend your box and then like get on the counter, whereas like Ange Postecoglou, especially at his time at Spurs, like played a dangerously high block. Like, there was so many games where their defensive line was on the halfway line and they were just getting like exposed, like with balls in behind them.
I know I usually say I'm here for the vibes and the nonsense, but I feel like I keep a usual quite level head when giving criticism of other teams' moves. Like, I'll show them Palace's stuff they do, but this one with Forest, I just cannot see how this is a smart move at all. You're giving probably the best or nearly the best defensive team in the league over to Ange, and yeah, he did win a trophy with Tottenham, so he's got to have respect for that. He's done well with Celtic, but I don't know, man. I think they're fucked a bit now. I think there's way too much change in their style of play, the way the players they have and everything. I don't see how this works, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm concerned for the defenders mainly. Like, players like Milenkovic and Aina and Williams don't really seem particularly suited to an Ange style. Like, Milenkovic in particular, like, I don't think he can turn and run at his own goal very well. Like, they are box defenders. Like, they're really good at clearing the box, stopping crosses coming in, etc. So I'd be really worried for them. But I mean, on the flip side, like, I think Ange is going to probably be better for all of the attacking talent that they've got there, and like especially the attacking talent that they've brought in, like Hutchinson, McAtee, Kalimawendo, like Ndoye, Elanga. Like Hudson-Odoi might be better on sort of like, because there's obviously a bigger emphasis on possession with Ange in charge. Like they're going to want to have more of the ball. Whether they can do that with the players that they've got, especially with the defence, etc. But there's going to be a more emphasis on dominating the ball than there was under Nuno, and some of the talent that they've got in there might be more suited to that, but it's still a projection rather than like something that we've seen these players be doing week in, week out, and think like, I don't think it'll be a seamless transition at all.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be good at all. I think there could be big problems with the fan base if they see him going out of the Europa League, which I mean they're going to have to do well to get out of the group stage, and that at least, and then for what's going to happen in the season, I can't see him getting even top half at this rate with what's happened. Maybe I'm being too pessimistic, but it's just a lot of their standout players are going to be put under the microscope now, or like told to do things that they don't do. So you're going to see probably Sells, who was our standout keeper last year, he's going to be facing a lot more shots and have probably less of a strong base in front of him defensively. So that knocks confidence down if they're conceding goals. Defence gets out of place. Is Wood going to suit this system, do you think?
I'd be very surprised if Wood maintains his starting position. I think they brought in Arnaud Calimuendo from Rennes in the summer, and he feels like someone who's going to be much more suited to a possession like style of football than Chris Wood is, and similarly I think the signing of Alexander Zinchenko makes a lot more sense now than it did 2 weeks ago, with I think him coming in to replace Nico Williams, because like Ange will want his fullbacks to get on the ball as well, which like Nico Williams and Ola Aina are both like bomb down the wing, like stick to the flank, like add an extra like body to put a cross in, whereas like someone like Zinchenko is going to come into the midfield a lot more, add an extra body in the central area, and I think like we'll see we'll see more of Zinchenko than we might have expected.
There's a lot. Maybe I shouldn't be too negative, but even for a player like Elanga, his natural game wants to be like running into space, isn't it? Like, and they're not going to get that now because all his fucking defenders are going to be in the opposition half, like making the pitch as small as possible, so there's going to be no space to run into. It's going to be an interesting to see how Elanga and Ndoye and Hudson-Odoi like translate into this style, and whether it is actually something that Postecoglou puts into place. I think I really struggled when I was thinking about this earlier to like judge Postecoglou's time at Spurs, like, or his career to date, really, because obviously like we, as sort of over in England, we only really know his time at Celtic and his time at Spurs. Maybe caught a few games of his Australia team at the 2014 World Cup, but and then at Spurs, like last season, okay, was it just a write-off? Like they just halfway through the season, they just kind of punted on the Premier League and was like, well, we only care about the Europa League. So it's like, all right, what can I really take from that? But then there were signs throughout his time at Spurs that they were conceding way too many goals. They were defensively really open. But then like he in the Europa League against Frankfurt and against Man United, they defended a bit more. So maybe we'll give Ange a bit of credit, and he might come in there with a bit more of a pragmatic view than he did at Spurs. But you know, if he tries to do that, like get these defenders on the halfway line and thinking that they're going to boss possession in every match, then yeah, it's going to be a tough one. But I also think there's been a real mixed reaction from the fans as well. Like I think some fans are excited by the potential that they might have, but then I think there's a lot of fans voicing the same concerns that we just have with like sort of the playing style and the squad just not being a match. And you know, for a team in the other 14 and who have got European games, like it could end badly, but you know, yeah. Well,
we'll wait and see. But
it's just nothing's going wrong. I know they lost 3-0 to you, but like we kind of said, it was a bit smash and grab at the end of it. Like had a good start to the season, had a brilliant last season. Like it looked like they were picking up where they had left off. Yes, it would draw against us, but they had a good win against Brentford. Like why rock the boat? Because Marinakis is Greek like me and crazy. But yeah, it's that, isn't it?
It's that fiery Greek passion, and he's just brought in his mate to bring some more of it.
To be fair, maybe he'll be pragmatic, and he always wins something in his second season, so he'll be promoted back to the Premier League in his second season at least. I'm sure people
I knew you were going to go there.
Yeah, people are seeing it. So I sound like a really bitter Palace fan of all the Forest stuff. Like I'm not. I just don't understand why they got rid of Nuno. But cool. That's probably enough on that. Really, should we take a break and then get into our top 5 transfers? We think.
Let's do it.
Okay, and we're back. So yeah, we're here with our transfer special for this season. I think just maybe preluding it with a couple of, well, definitely mine, maybe a bit recency biased. It's a bit hard. It's hard to do this, isn't it, when the season starts and then you've seen some signings already play and do stuff and you've seen other people not do anything yet. I'm very much an advocate for the transfer window closing before the season starts. I know all the media and everyone loves all the drama of it and it all happening, but I think as an actual fan, you probably like it more if it closed well before the season starts. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I just think you need that to be aligned across leagues. Like, I just don't think that you can just do it in the Premier League because like it will just have a knock-on effects elsewhere. Like teams abroad, like in other European leagues, won't be able to buy players or sell. Like it just doesn't make sense. It needs to be like one transfer window for all like UEFA teams, in my opinion, to be able for that to be a success. But yeah, I do agree. I think with this, like the sort of a couple of caveats is like one, we've not taken in anyone who was on loan at the team in the previous season. So like Jorgen Strand Larsen, Enzo Lefebvre at Wolves and Sunderland, they made their moves permanent this summer, but they were at the team last year. And then I've kind of looked at it from a including like the price tag a little bit, but also like the impact that they'll have, maybe a little bit on resale value, like potential as well in there, and that's the kind of sort of metrics that I've been looking at to try and, like when I was putting my 5 together.
I think mine are just straight vibes of who I think is going to hit the ground running basically this season. If I'm being honest, so maybe you get insight to both sides, the actual analytical side from Tom and just the shit madness that comes out of my brain. So yeah, do you want to go first with your number 1? Oh yeah, we're also going to go 1 down to 5 just because I think we have a couple that overlap and we don't want to be not having much to talk about number 1 when we get there. So yeah, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so talking of recency bias, I've gone with Habib Diarra at Sunderland, who was signed for circa £30 million. Like, I think he's come in and looked absolutely incredible. Like, he just has energy for days, like proper box-to-box midfielder. Yeah, and I think like he's about 23, so like really young, like got loads of like sell-on value. Like, I think he's come in and made the leap to the Premier League from France look like seamless. He
really has. Like, I think a lot of people Sunderland aside have hit the ground running. We didn't expect like them to be doing this well this early on. So yeah, he's been a real standout for me in all the games that they've had so far. Like you say, energy in each game, which is suiting Sunderland's playing style. I think it's going to be interesting to see how teams adapt to Sunderland's playing style as we go on through the season, because they did pretty much hit the sit back at home, and boom, we'll get you on the break with like counter-attacking goals. Obviously got undone by Burnley in kind of the same way in the last game before the break. Oh no, was the last game? It was the middle game.
The game before. It was match day 2.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a lot of players seem to be settling in Sunderland quite well. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I could have had about 8 names from Sunderland on this list. Like there's definitely one that I'm pretty sure you've got on your list in the Sunderland midfield as well, who might even have more like importance or like impact as like a figure for Sunderland. I mean, we'll come on to him when we get to him, but I think Habib Diarra has got the biggest like talent in the Sunderland squad, like the biggest the highest ceiling I think of all of these players that they brought in, because a few of them are on maybe like the older side sort of thing, like one of those that were mentioned. But like Diarra is 23, like he had 9 goals and assists for Strasbourg last season, but he ranks really high for progressive carries and progressive passes received as a midfielder. So like it just goes to sort of illustrate the box-to-boxness of his play style. Like even in the game against West Ham, like he was on the edge of his box making tackles, and then he was popping up in the West Ham box and had a shot saved by Hermansen that was even nominated for save of the month sort of thing. So like his impact is at both ends of the pitch, and I think it's just gonna continue. If things go well for Sunderland this season, Habib Diarra is going to be a name that everyone knows, and whilst this isn't like the be all and end all of making a transfer. What Sunderland have done well with some of the signings is buy young talent who will have sell-on value. Like Habib Diarra kind of reminds me of like a N'Golo Kante kind of figure, where like they buy him at such a young, such a decent cost. Obviously Kante was very cheap, but they know if this player hits, one of the like big European teams is going to be after him, and they're going to make like loads of money and be able to reinvest that. And like that's sort of something that quite often promoted teams don't do. Like quite often they're bringing like established players, like experience and that, and don't really have the time for someone who's unproven in the Premier League and might need time to settle and everything. But Diarra's come in absolutely firing, and I think like the only way is up for him.
Yeah, I think Diarra is the type of player that a championship team usually has in their squad before coming up and gets there. Like you say, they don't usually have enough funds to be able to like spend 30 mil on a player that's unproven, like you say, to do the job. But like you say, with the resale value, if they can get him into that place, they'll be absolutely laughing. So I could agree with you on your number one, to be fair. I've not gone in my top five, but I got my number one, if you're happy to move on.
Yeah, let's go for it. What's your number one, mate?
My number one's probably obvious to listeners. I've been waxing lyrical about him since he went to Everton. So yeah, I've got Jack Grealish at number one. Recency bias is involved in that, but also like when I saw they got him, I was like, why the fuck could we not have signed him? He's one of those players that I think if he went to almost any other 14 club, he would probably do a decent job for him. Like where he doesn't have to be in that Pep Guardiola pass them to death system where he can just express himself. It was always just going to be a great signing, and I think we've talked about it before, right club, right time, right player, and he's proved it with how he's been performing. He's had numerous assists for Everton, he's got the crowd going for him, he just looks like he's got a smile on his face playing football again.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it for the last couple of episodes, like just coming away from watching Everton games and just being like, well, what more can you say about Jack Grealish? Like I 100% agree with you, like getting him out of that Pep Guardiola, like having to be such a robotic winger in Guardiola's system, and really seeing that old Jack Grealish that used to infuriate me all the time, because like just the way he like the close control and the way he would glide past defenders, and they'd always end up putting in a slow tackle, and he won like. I think he was the most fouled player for those last couple of years at Villa before he got the move to Man City in the Premier League.
He was like a rat at Villa. I always remember playing against him. I was like, I fucking hate him. Then he went to City, and I was like, I feel bad for you now. It's like, how the fuck does that happen? Like, you go from absolutely being like, he's a rat, I hate him, I don't want to play against him, and then he goes City and like, fuck, I feel sorry for him, because you actually want to see him have some fun. You want to see some players like that play football. It's the reason like we go to games. Like people like fucking Wayne Routledge, Andy Johnson, Wolf and Yannick got me going to Palace games because it was something to stand up and watch, like something to entertain you. And
yeah, I mean, this is like a Moyes special. I was having a think about who does Jack Grealish at Everton remind me of, and like under Moyes, I'm thinking like Lucas Paquetá at West Ham, Stephen Pino, Tim Cahill, Wayne Rooney, like a young Wayne Rooney coming through. Like, not saying Jack Grealish is the same kind of player, but Moyes has quite often throughout his managerial career had a like maverick player in his squad, and as I've been saying, like he'll instruct the rest of the team to be like no, we know how like your quality is in the final third, or your quality is this or this, and so we need you to be at 10 when you're doing those things. Don't come back, don't waste your energy running back and making defense like tackles and everything. Like, we'll cover that throughout the team, and Everton have done a really good job of doing that so far early in the season with players like Dewsbury Hall and Gay and Irabunam and stuff. Like, they've got those like proper energy midfielders who can cover those places, so that Grealish doesn't have to be coming back and doing that. He can wait for the ball to come to him and then make his proper impact in the final third. So
I think that's why he's so high up on my list as well, because he just complements the side. It's made Everton that much better. in that short period. And when we were talking about the end of last season, when they lost all those people on free contracts, we're like, they're fucked. They're never going to be able to replace that. But by some magic in signing some decent players, I don't know how big a money spat, about how much of a PSL money situation is going to put them in. I can't really tell, but maybe with the new stadium, that's also helping out with more funds coming in. Maybe it's a gamble they can definitely take, but just freeing up Ndai to be able to not have someone on him all the time would be like in space, having Dewsbury Hall in with it as well. It's just, yeah, it all seems like the perfect signing for me, and I'm jealous.
Well, speaking of money, he's on loan for the season, and there's an option to buy for 50 million. My question is, do you pay the option now after this impact, or is it too rich for a 29-year-old? What are you thinking?
Is he 29 now? Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
50 mil.
I feel even worse for him. You know what? If you are Everton and you get close to Europe this season, which I mean, I had him going 9th, I think, in my predictions. I think Europe might be a bit too much of a push, if I'm being honest. But if he gets you to a good place, and you can only see it getting better next year, maybe you do pay it. Because at the end of the day, people are paying, what was it, 45 mil for Hutchinson at Forest. Yes, he's a lot younger, but I think you're going to get more output. Maybe I'm shooting Hutchinson a bit too much, but I think you're going to get more output out of Grealish for 3 years than you're going to get.
Hutchinson is your Fabio Carvalho, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. I think because I expected a lot more from him at Ipswich last year, and I just didn't see it. Like,
fair.
He just wasn't very. He didn't do anything in the 2 games I watched against him, and I was just.
Anyway, Hutchinson's not on the list. Let's back to Grealish. Like, yeah. I mean, I too think at some stage you kind of just have to say, like, with some players and the impact that they've had, you kind of just go, who cares about the resale value? Like, if we get Grealish in this year for 50 mil, he's 29, turning 30. Can we get 3 to 5 years out of him?
Yeah, that's
like he probably, like, I don't know, maybe injuries take their toll in his like mid-30s. Like, he did start playing for Villa quite a young age. I remember, like, he's been playing professional football for 10 years at least now. So like maybe it has his impact, but I mean, he wasn't super young like your Theo Walcotts, etc. who started playing football at 16, or like Lamine. But so maybe he's got enough in the tank for that option fee to not feel too much for Everton to take. And if he keeps playing like he has done and keeps recording the assists, adds a few goals, etc., then you'll just be like, yeah, we have to make this move, whether it's not a financially sound thing, the impact this player has on the pitch, like the way the fans love him, like what he could do for us over the next couple of seasons as Everton turn from relegation strugglers into wanting to be in Europe. They might not get the Europe this year, but they paid that 50 mil and they might get it next year, sort of thing. So they kind of, I think it's one of those that you might just have to make a really bold decision and back Jack Grealish to be that maverick and get you into Europe in the next couple of years in his early 30s. Yeah, I think that's it. I think him and Moyes have been so vital to them starting well at their new stadium, which we were worried about, and like, you've just got to keep that going. I think that is the punch you take and just go with it, and that's why I think he's my top signing of the season. Watch him. For what it's worth, I had him third.
Yeah, I think everyone was going to have him in his top 5. Watch him like break his ankle or something, and my prediction be completely pointless. But yeah, cool. I think that's everything we need to. We're probably going to be saying the same thing about Grealish for a while now. So yeah, let's move on to your number 2.
So number 2, I've taken a bit of a punt here, and I've gone for Nick Voltemade for Newcastle signed for around £69 million from Stuttgart in Germany. This one, it feels a little bit like a projection from me.
I feel like this is you very much bringing your Bundesliga
100%.
I'm not going to lie, geezer.
I'm low-key desperate for a Bundesliga signing to hit, because the record is pretty poor from Bundesliga to Premier League. Like, they don't often, like, but players who have killed it in the Bundesliga have got a pretty bad record of translating that into the Premier League in recent seasons. I don't think I'm talking out of my arse there.
I'm trying to think of the last hit. There's probably someone that the listeners are screaming at us about, but fuck knows. I'll figure one out.
But yeah, so like, but I think Nick Voltemada, like his rise over the last 18 months, 2 years has been really, really good. Like he's just been on a really upward trajectory. The guy's absolutely massive, by the way. He's really
bigger
tall.
than Dan Burn, isn't he? That's fucking crazy.
Is he? No, Dan Burn's big, but I just know
Oh, no.
Voltemada's also huge.
Maybe he's close to Dan Burn because Newcastle put that the picture of the two of them stood next to each other out, and I literally thought it was just two pictures of Dan Burn and his brother or something.
But like he's for such a massive guy, he has really, really good feet. Like there's a reason why he's been nicknamed Volta Messi at times. Like especially coming through the unders, like in Germany, he can play as a 9 or a 10. So I think he's probably the closer replacement for Isak at Newcastle compared to Visser. I don't think you have Visser on your list, so I think I'm all right to talk about him.
Yeah, I don't have this on the list.
Yeah, I think Visser you might get a more immediate impact. Like you'd expect that from. I think he's 29 as well, and obviously has been playing in the Premier League for 4 or 5 years. So like I think you would expect Visser to come in and be like, hey, we need to get goals this season because Newcastle have stuttered at the start of the season. Visser would be who I'd be relying on to be like, no, we need you to get 15 goals this season. Voltemada, I think you'd like, obviously they've paid more for him and he is the sort of the bigger potential signing. But I think you kind of just need to give him a season to bed in. Like he might hit the ground running, but he might also struggle. Like as I said, like the transition from the Bundesliga has been tough for some players. So I think this one is, as I said at the start, like a little bit of a projection going forward. Like I think Voltemada, if he hits, could be as good as Isak has been for Newcastle over the next 2, 3, 4 seasons. And I think, as I say, he's got a bit more similarity to Isak than Visser has. Like he ranks really high for blocks, touches, and take-ons, which is like kind of what Isak did, like a little bit of the pressing style, but also when he had the ball at his feet, he was able to he was passing it to the wide players or taking on defenders. Like Isak did that so well for Newcastle. I think Voltemada is closer to that than Visser, who's probably a little bit more like a Callum Wilson replacement, a very expensive and improvement on current Callum Wilson. But I think I see that as like the two that they've replaced, obviously the two outgoing strikers and in their profiles.
Yeah, I mean with Visser, I think he might struggle at Newcastle. I don't know why, I just got that feeling about it. Don't know why, but if that's what you're saying about this geezer, then you gotta think he's going to slot in there quite nicely. And Eddie Howe will probably build the team around him, and it won't take that much to change from what was already there as well. I mean, one thing to say about transitioning from the Bundesliga, we did forget about people like Haaland and Son who came in and kind of hit the ground running. So yeah,
I mean, Haaland was a robot. Like he was always going to do well. Like
yeah, I think especially that's it. But yeah, he's definitely one that I'm going to be watching with intrigue because it was one of those deals for that much money that came out of nowhere, and it probably shows like my outside of the Premier League knowledge nowadays is nowhere near it used to be when I was basically a virgin at uni playing fucking Ultimate Team like 18 hours a day and knowing every player from everywhere. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just lastly on Voltemada, I think I felt like I had to put one of these two in there because of how like Newcastle had struggled in this to score goals in the start of the season. Like they just obviously they had the Isak's saga going on and getting in Voltemada and Visser, like they just now we need to see Newcastle come back up. I think there's also tactically they're much more likely to be able to play with both of them than they were previously with Isak and Wilson. Like didn't really see both of them together a lot. It was always Wilson coming on for Isak, whereas I think Voltemada and Visser, because Voltemada can play in the 10 as well, you might have situations where they're not playing those 3 centre mids. They play maybe 2 of them and have Voltemada as a 10 and Visser as a 9 sort of thing. So I think it gives Eddie Howe a little bit more tactical flexibility than they had previously, and And we were one of our scathing criticisms of Newcastle was they had a great 11, but they didn't have much to bring off the bench and to change things up. So
no plan
with
B,
a couple
really.
of their with a couple of their additions this summer, I think they've probably done that, and I'm excited to see it in action over the season.
Yeah, you think it's going to be a little and large mix-up at the top there? That's what it's going to be. Can't remember the last little and large.
I don't think Visser's that small. I don't think Visser's that small. He's smaller than Voltemade.
Do you know what? I saw that. I can't remember what the Volksmark is, but Visser's like 5'9", and Premier League was like little and large, and I was like, 5'9"'s not that little.
They've done you there. Who's your 2 then?
Cool. My 2, I guess, like the way you were channeling basically your Bundesliga stuff. I'm projecting your Bundesliga stuff. I'm probably doing it the same for Palace, where I have Yeremy Pino as my number 2. This is based off all the stuff I was told when we signed him. People being like, "How the fuck did you get him for that much money?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And then from his cameo at Villa Park, there's a fucking player there. Like, he's direct. He's like insanely good with his feet from what we saw. Maybe it was just Villa were fucking done for and they'd given up, and he was just given like the space to do it. But technically, he looked amazing, and I think he's more of the player that Glasner would want than he did want Eze in that system, which can only be helpful as well, because we knew from the beginning that Glasner didn't really, not he didn't rate him, but he wasn't his type of player. So the fact he got the tune out of Eze for the whole last season was amazing. But yeah, I just see it's worth the money. At 26 million, I can see, but it's worth that punt for this player, and he's young as well, so that hopefully be like resale value there. But I'm really excited for him, and I think he's going to have a big part to play for this season with, Ismaila Sarr now getting injured, and he's going to go off to AFCON later in the year. I think he's going to have a massive part to play for us through Europe and into winter. It's going to be, a really exciting one for us for once.
Yeah, I had Yeremy Pino at number 4 on my list. You mentioned a lot of the stuff that I had down for him. Like, you got him at under market price for him, which is crazy for a young player. I think his market price is about 30, and what I saw the fee for Palace was 21 up to 26, like with a few add-ons. So for them to be able to get Pino for that, and it was quite interesting as well, like looking back at his previous seasons, because Pino came and like burst onto the scene. Like he had a few games at the end of his first season as like coming on as a sub sort of thing, and then the next season he just like hit the ground running. He's had in 3 of his last 4 seasons, he's hit 10 or 11 goals and assists in those times, and he only didn't do it once because he was out. He had injuries throughout the season, so he only made about like 10 appearances, so wasn't going to do that then. But like for such a young player to be able to achieve that so consistently in their first 4 full seasons as a starter for Villarreal, like I think that's just sort of like speaks to his quality. And I just really, I mean, I haven't done a full deep dive into why Palace got him for that cheap, whether it was contract or...
I think it was out of favour a bit. Contract as well. It was like the perfect storm of all those things from what I've heard on my podcast. And he was just like, well, look, I want to go somewhere and play now. And when the Premier League came up as an option, it was just like, yeah, we're going to go do that. But he was getting touted like 50 mil to top 6 teams not that long ago. He's got like Spanish caps in a Spanish team that's been shit hot, let's be honest, like for the last few years. So it didn't really make sense to me how we got him, but fuck me, I'm happy we do.
Yeah, I mean, he's got really big shoes to fill in Eberechi as leaving. Like, I think Pino can play on both sides, so you might see him cover for Sarr, or you might see him, like, I think you would expect him to take Eze's position on the left for majority of the time, but he also, I think you mentioned it, like he's tactically more suited to what Glasner wants from those 2 players anyway. Like he wants arrows, he wants 2 like fighter jets who are going to absolutely fly up the pitch. And Eze just wasn't that kind of player, and Glasner made it work.
Slow, like methodical glide past players. He's a fucking Rolls Royce of a player, and he absolutely loved it. But if it's not what Glasner really wanted to begin with, and it was clear it's not what he wanted to begin with, but he made it work.
That's the thing, exactly. He made it work because Eze is such a talented player that you're like, right, all right, I'll adjust my system or how we play to fit him in. But with Pino, he can go back to that style he had with Frankfurt, where he had a younger Daichi Kamada who had a lot more legs, or Jesper Lindstrom or Angsnar Knauf, who were the players who played behind the striker, and they were just bombing forward, or like Filip Kostic played there at times, and they were just like energy for days. They like such direct running. Like it was against West Ham in the Europa League semi-final. Like Angsnar Knauf just tore us apart on the right side of it, and I can just see Pino and Sarr doing that to devastating effect under Glasner, and like obviously with Mateta up there as well. Like they've got like the actual like the trifecta that Glasner really wants.
It's gonna be exciting. It's generally maybe a little bit exciting, especially because how we started the season, like being unbeaten. It's something. Hopefully, I'm going to be looking back in January and being like, "Fuck yeah, it all came together. This is the best run we've ever had in the Premier League." But knowing what Palace are like, I'll probably be on my fucking knees. It'd be like we needed 3 more signings, and all these people have got injured. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to touch on. Pino, do we want to move on to our third? I think your third's Jack Grealish, isn't it? So it's going to have to be me, isn't it?
It's going to have to be your third because we've knocked off my top 4. So
you're going to be listening to a lot of me. No, my number 3 was Elanga to Newcastle. Just realised I was talking about Elanga in the Forest stuff about Ange. Jesus Christ, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, it's changed. The last 24 hours has changed your list.
Yeah, it's literally. But no, so yeah, I think Elanga at Newcastle, he was put up there as like was going to be my player of the other 14 player of the season, because I just thought his connection with Isak would be unreal. But it all changes now, really, doesn't it? But I still think he's been a good signing for him already this year. We've seen him do like a lot of bits. It was recency bias that's kind of got it. But yeah, maybe I should have moved him further down on my list now that I think about it out loud. But he just seemed like a perfect fit for Newcastle when they signed him. It seemed like this all makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll still be a good signing for Newcastle. I think I didn't really consider him because the fee's quite high. I just sort of, yeah, I think Elanga's a good player. Like he had a really good season for Forest. I don't necessarily think he's going to set the world alight at Newcastle. I think he's going to be a very good addition, but I see him very much of the same sort of talent level that they have around like Barnes, Gordon sort of thing. Like I don't see Elanga as better than those players. Okay, they play on the left, so Elanga's going to play on the right, but he's already got to come in and improve on Jacob Murphy's 10 assists last season. Like I think that's always going to be a struggle to achieve that, because that's a very good return for someone. Like he's a better player than Jacob Murphy, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, like, yeah, recency bias, I'm not sure how good the impact has been at the start. Like, he should have buried that chance to get on the first day against Villa. I just think maybe we can't really judge him at Newcastle. It's way too early, obviously. We will have to see what happens when Voltemada and Visser are integrated into the first team, and then he's actually got players, like proper players to play off, because you can't play off Gordon as a striker because he's not a striker.
I just think, I remember when they signed him, I think it was just up there in my head, and now the more I've pulled it back, talking to you, it's made me think it's not really gonna. It may not work for him as much as I expected it to work for players that I have even further down the list, if I'm being honest. So I may have fucked it a bit with that one.
You will see at one point, I absolutely guarantee at some point this season, you will see one of the midfielders play a ball into Voltemada, his back to goal, and he will release it to Elanga, and who will be coming in behind the defence, and Elanga will run through on goal and score. I think I can almost guarantee that sort of play is going to happen, because of how those two will could bounce off each other if they obviously combine well. But I think, Elanga, it's an interesting one. I think I hold out a little bit on that. I think he's a good signing. I think they needed to make the signing. I don't know if he would make my top 5.
I was just thinking of the Swedish link up if that was going to happen, and now that's gone. Yeah. That's a bad one for me. And he's that's one of my predictions for player of the season for us, so I've really fucked it there big time. God,
hey, who knows?
No.
Who you got at 4 then?
Cool. I have, as you alluded to earlier, Sunderland player that I think is going to bring. He's lowish down my list just because it could go 50-50 with it. But I've got Granit Xhaka for Sunderland because I think he's just going to bring that stability in and that like experience that Sunderland are kind of missing. And it was a bit of a rogue signing out of nowhere for me as well. I thought, like, I did not see him coming back to the Premier League after having such a good time at Bayer Leverkusen, wasn't it? And doing that basically almost completely invincible season, but having the Bundesliga invincible season. I think he's going to bring experience that a lot of the younger players that have come in aren't going to understand. But he's also going to put in those crunching tackles and kind of boss that midfield in a way where it's going to be like, you need that type of player if you're going to stay in the Premier League. It was like Emile Jedinak for us coming up and doing that job. Mark Noble for you doing that type of job for West Ham. I just think it's maybe a very important piece of the puzzle that they're going to need if they're going to stay up this season. And by the looks of it, they're giving themselves the best hope to stay up this season because of it.
Yeah, I mean, my eyebrows were raised when Granit Xhaka was signed for Sunderland, and when he did his video saying, like, why did you want to come here? And he's like, I love Sunderland. Like, he's like, who are you excited to play with? My teammates. Like, the geezer clearly knew nothing about Sunderland the day he signed. But saying that, he's like shown already early this season that he is going to like put everything out there for the badge, and like that is all you can ask for from a defensive midfielder who I've probably been harsh on Xhaka during his career. He kind of annoys me at times.
I've been very harsh. Like, I think exactly the same. I mean, he would be higher up my list, and he's on my list because I feel like it needs talking about as a signing. But I could very much easily see the signing imploding as well. Like, he could be really well to begin with. They have some bad results. Maybe the fans will turn their back on the manager or someone does, and then you just don't see him play for the rest of the season. I could easily see that happening as well. But I think if he just goes right, it's a pretty clever signing all round.
Yeah. I mean, Leverkusen really didn't want to leave him, and what's going on at Leverkusen is a whole nother podcast. They've sacked Ten Hag after 3 games this season. Like, they've lost 10 of the 11 players who won the title for them 2 seasons ago. Like, they've been absolutely decimated as a team, and obviously Alonso left as well. That's why they had Ten Hag come in. And so I think Granit Xhaka saw those signs and sort of knew that the good days at Leverkusen were done, or like things were going to be different, and it was time for a new challenge, even though he'd only been there for 3 or 4 seasons since leaving Arsenal. So, I think whilst I say like I really like Xhaka frustrates me and he's annoying, I think if he was playing for your team and the way he's been playing for Sunderland early in this season, crunching tackles, breaking up play, getting in people's faces, but also setting off attacks. Like, it's harsh to talk about Xhaka in just those like destroyer terms, because he does actually have a beautiful pass on him. Like, really, really good at finding players in the channels, like setting it like out to players like Simon Adingra to get in on the front foot to capitalise on counter attacks or like exposed defences and such. So I think like. It was the reason who I was alluding to so much when I was talking about Habib Diarra. Like, there is like this other player in the middle of the park for Sunderland who's probably going to have the higher impact, especially for national fan, like non-Sunderland fans are probably going to see Xhaka's name more, hear Xhaka's name more. Like, he's going to be talked about more because obviously he's a bigger household name than Diarra is. But that's why I went Diarra because I'd prefer him as a player. Like, I want all the reasons that I listed out earlier, but I knew Xhaka was going to come up in this conversation. If not, I was going to have him as an honourable mention after, because he's just like exactly what you would want from a captain of a promoted team. Like, he's almost like a Lee Cattermole supercharged.
What a fucking way to describe someone. But it's kind of true, isn't it?
Like, it's like if Lee Cattermole was actually a good footballer at times.
Cattermole supercharged, jeez. I love that. Yeah, I'd agree with you with it as well, actually. I mean, it's like we've said about all of them. The proof's going to be in like the pudding with it all. We're going to see how they all go through, but I think he's one that's it's definitely a signing that's worth watching throughout the whole season to see how it's going to be so important to how Sunderland seasons go as well. I think that's a lot about these signings. You can say, yes, he's a good player, it's well done for getting him, but how much is it actually going to change the team he's going to, and how important is he going to be? And I think Xhaka's going to be immensely important to Sunderland if they're going to stay up, like I said at the beginning. Cool. Do you want to move on to your number 5?
Yes, so I'm going to give a goalkeeper some love. At number 5, I've got Lucas Perry for Leeds, Brazilian goalkeeper. They signed for 16 million from Lyon. So he's, I think the main reason, it is a bit rogue, but like the main reason I've gone for this is like impact. Like I think Leeds would have been relegated if they didn't upgrade on Darlow or Meslier. Like if they didn't bring a decent keeper in this summer, I would have been like, no, Leeds are going to finish bottom of the table, because those two just inspired me with no confidence that they'd be able to keep clean sheets at this level. Whereas Lucas Perry's come in and already kept 2 clean sheets in his opening 3 games. I think he's going to provide like that level of stability as a goalkeeper. He's also much taller than the other two. Something that Leeds really targeted this summer was height. Like they bought a bunch of central defenders. They bought people like Longstaff, Nemetra, etc. Like they increased their height a lot, because the Premier League, for all its glitz and glamour, it's a lot about height. It's a lot about set pieces. And being able to command your area as Perry can do is something that Leeds desperately needed, given who they had in place before that.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, but it's hard for me to look past Lucas Perry being our third choice goalkeeper like a couple of seasons ago on loan. Didn't make appearances in Cup or like in the league. Just there, like, I saw him for Leeds and I was like, wait a minute, I know that geezer. And I googled it and I was like, how's he ended up here? Do you not think Darlow maybe is a better choice? No, I'm not having Darlow as a Premier League goalkeeper. I know you kind of like him, but like he is not a Premier League goalkeeper. He's a fine number 2. I would honestly have him as a number 3. Like, if he was my number 2, I'd still feel a little bit worried. Like, I mean, he played in the Cup, I believe, and they lost, so they went out on penalties. I guess, like, it's my stigma, because I see Lucas Perry as a third-choice goalkeeper at Palace, which is, without being rude to third-choice goalkeepers at Palace, it's like the bottom of the fucking bucket. Like,
yeah, but since then, he's gone on to play for Botafogo, 67 appearances. He had 31 clean sheets.
Or Lyon. Let's not talk about those two clubs.
Lyon, he had 49 appearances, 15 clean sheets.
Yeah, but there's a reason he's played for Crystal Palace, Lyon and Botafogo, and that's
so you're saying, so you're saying his loan at Palace was a John Textor special.
Yeah.
And so actually, Forest were in the right to complain.
Well, no,
that's what you're saying there, right? And then Palace were actually very naughty.
How did we?
Yeah, that sounds like it.
How did we benefit from that? Tell me.
Lucas Perry's amazing time on loan, where he played 0 times for you.
0 times, did nothing. Didn't even warm up keepers from what I fucking saw. But yeah, Jesus. To be fair, I guess your number 5 is a bit of a punt and a bit of a rogue one. Like, do you have anything else to say? We'll move on to my 5, which is definitely a punt and a bit of a rogue one.
No, we can leave Perry there.
Okay, my number 5. As for Villa, I honestly think Sancho's probably going to find his level. That's really harsh to say, actually. Maybe not find his level, but I think he's going to find a place where he might enjoy playing football again, get quite a few games under his belt, and actually, show some form that you used to love back at Dortmund in his days there.
Mate, Jadon Sancho is like my son. Like the way I feel about him, like the way he made me feel as a Dortmund fan, like what he it's just like I felt so much pride watching Jadon Sancho as a 17-year-old come into Dortmund's first team and just look absolutely sensational. Like he was such a joy to watch. Like in those early years at Dortmund, breaking through. He just got everyone up on their feet, was trying things all the time, had really good end products, with assists as well as some goals, and that had really in his first sort of years had really good combination with Achraf Hakimi as the right back, and that was just a really devastating right-sided attack. But I've been hurt, and I've put my flag out for Jadon Sancho over the years, had dealt with numerous United fans moaning and complaining about him, and obviously I think the situation there doesn't help. it doesn't help Jadon, doesn't help anyone really.
No,
Like, you just look at the record of the other players that have come and gone at Man United over the years, and I don't think it's a Jadon Sancho problem. I also don't think he's immune. I don't think he's absolved of anything, because he does have a tendency to shoot himself in the foot at times. Like, there were times at Dortmund, there were times at Man United where he'd go off. Like, at Dortmund, he would get flights back to the UK all the time without telling the club, or he'd stay an extra day, miss a day of training and things like that. And obviously his issues at Man United are well documented. So I would always back Jadon Sancho based off of what he did at Dortmund and what I still think he can do, given when he went on loan to Dortmund, not last season, the season before, for 6 months, from January to the end of the season, and he was a bit part player at times, but he showed absolute moments of quality in getting Dortmund to that Champions League final against Real Madrid. Like, he was one of, like, there were certain games where it was like, wow, we've seen this is the old Jadon's back sort of thing. Didn't quite translate into consistency week in, week out, but it's a 6-month loan spell. It's always going to be difficult. I mean, sentimentality has made me want him to come back to Dortmund, but I think that might also not necessarily be the best move for him, because I don't think it's fit into the current Dortmund team that well. So I'm optimistic, as I always am with Sancho, that he'll find his feet and he'll come good in the Premier League. But I think I've been hurt multiple times, and I'm not willing to state my claim this summer on Sancho.
No,
so why have you got him in there?
I think for me it's a bit of last chance saloon for him, which isn't probably the best reason to be saying it, but it's like, this is a chance where he can go to Villa, he can go to somewhere where a close friend of his, Rashford, had a good end of last season, let's be honest. Like, you can say what you want about him. I mean, against us he didn't do much, but there were games where people were waxing lyrical, like, oh, it's the old Rashford's back, and it's somehow got him a move to Barcelona, but there's many other reasons in that. But I think Villa, from seeing them play two Sundays ago, they're screaming out for a player that can run at people, a player that can make something happen. Because in that game,
Sancho's not that player. Sancho doesn't run at people. He doesn't run at people, man. Like, there's a misconception about Jadon Sancho, is he doesn't run at people. Like, he's much more like Eze. Like, will hold the ball up, wait for players to get into position.
Past the player. How about that, rather than run at a player?
Even then, I think you're over. I think you've miscalculating what Jadon Sancho is at this point of his career. Earlier in his career, yes, he would go past people, but in recent seasons, he's really been reluctant to do so. And whether he's lost an edge of pace that he had in his teenage years, like, already, that it wouldn't surprise me. But I think you're miscalculating what Jadon Sancho is right now. I mean, I would have much preferred he'd gone to Roma, where he was heavily linked and played under Gasperini, who was at Atalanta and revived Ademola Lookman's career. Like, I think like the parallels there, and like playing in Serie A, would have much more like tactically suited Jadon Sancho. I think I don't think he's built for the Premier League. Like, and whilst you're saying that about Villa, I don't know if he fits in Villa's system that well. Like, I have my doubts, and yeah.
I'm just thinking Villa need to change something. I feel like he could be the key to doing it. You think maybe one of the other players they signed could do that, but I don't think he can.
Yeah, well, one of my honourable mentions, and probably who I had at fifth, but before I went for a goalkeeper, was Harvey Elliott, who they signed, and I think like the way he played in the unders tournament for England this summer, like, I think like he's just been bubbling under the surface for Liverpool, showing like quality like when he's been called upon, but never had that consistent run in the team that he would want. And I think if he gets that at Villa, I think he could be the player that unlocks the rest of them and combines better with the players like Rodgers and Watkins.
I feel like we should have a bet on out of the two of them who does better.
Let's do it. Who, like, what, goals and assists? We just call it that?
No, not goals. Shit, it's going to have to be, because it needs to be quantitative, doesn't it?
Exactly. Unless we do like FOTMOB rating or something.
No, fuck that.
Which is just like rubbish.
We're not that sad yet. What can we put on? We'll figure out a bet for it, and we'll come back to it next week, I reckon. because we need some real thinking about it, because last time we tried to make a bet together, we never actually got to it, because neither of us were willing to give up our pride and wear a West Ham or Palace shirt.
Can't be that bet then.
No, it can't be. We'll figure one out next week, but yeah, that's who I think he's going to do something there. I've got a feeling in my plums, and like I said at the beginning, I'm here for vibes, so I think we're going to get a Sancho vibe going on at Villa. Cool. You mentioned one of your honourable mentions there. Who else did you have?
So we mentioned most of them. So my honourable mentions were Granit Xhaka at Sunderland, Johan Visser at Newcastle, Harvey Elliott at Aston Villa, and then I had two more. So I had Dan Ndoye for Forest. This was also written before the news about Ange taking over, because I just sort of was thinking about Ndoye, like the way he's settled into Nuno's Forest and like the sort of the passing he's been doing. I mean,
really good.
Before this summer, before the start of the season, I'd only really seen Ndoye when he played for Switzerland in the Euros last year, and he looked good in that, but I didn't know fully what to expect like week in, week out. And I think Ndoye's come in and just looked absolutely like really settled in really quickly, and looks like it combined really well with Hudson-Odoi, with Chris Wood. But yeah, we spoke about it at the top of the show, like what happens when Ange comes in. Does Ndoye fit his style of play as well? We'll see. My other honourable mention, who I think you've got, is Dango Utara for Brentford.
Yeah, I've got him as well. Like that, it's mainly recency bias for that one, because I thought it was a bit of a weird signing when I saw it. But then, also, if they're going to play with him in that system in the way, then yeah, he looks like he's going to be doing bits for him in all games.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've talked about him a couple of weeks now, so like won't go too in detail. But like, I think he's just sort of settled into that Brighton and Buemo role and like how Brentford set up. Like they all coach the same way from the unders through to the first team, so they kind of needed someone of the same mould as Brighton and Buemo, and Dango Utara has sort of settled into that really well. Like, really good at pressing, like really good at winning fouls, but also has shown early this season that he's got an end product as well. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think you've got basically all my honourable mentions there as well. My only other one was from West Ham, of all places, El Hadji Malik Diouf. I mean, he's one that if you're going to use him correctly, I think he's going to do absolute job for you. But if you don't use him correctly, I think it might be a bit of a flop. It's a hard one, isn't it? Like, because if he's bombing down the wings and getting balls in, it's a perfect signing for you guys. But if not, then you're a bit fucked.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm high on Diouf. I think he's going to be a very good signing, and I think it's just sort of I want to see a little bit more of whether we're playing a back three or a back four sort of thing. He played well against Forest in a back four, so I'm optimistic that he can do that, given he was signed as a left wing back. Like he wasn't signed as a left back sort of thing. Like it's one of those that like he might be able to do both jobs, but until I see it in person sort of thing, I'll reserve my judgment. So I'm high on Diouf. I think he's shown already qualities, especially that ball for Callum Wilson, like the assist, just a really nice, beautiful cross, like pinpoint onto Wilson's head. All he had to do was guide it in, and he's already shown that before that point as well. It just hadn't like come off and worked its way into a goal. Like he's shown it, like his crossing is what it was hyped up to be when we signed him. So yeah, I'm excited, but I wasn't going to put a West Ham player on this list until they prove something to me.
Yeah, and I put Pino on when he had just seen 15 minutes because I enjoyed that. Cool. Okay, let's take a break and we'll come back with some more content for you guys. Okay, and we're back. So Tom, who do you have for Peak Barclays for us this week?
Right, so after popping up in the box for the Baggies so successfully, this player popped up outside QPR's Loftus Road in his motor, only for a deadline day move to break down. It's Peter Odemwingie, our transfer deadline day special. I was saying off air if you wanted to miss out it this week, and then when you said it was the transfer special, it's like, yeah, of course, that fucking makes perfect sense. We'll mainly touch probably on the transfer breakdown because it was ridiculous, and can you imagine happening nowadays? Like, fuck me, social media would go insane with it.
it'd be.
It was vintage Sky Sports, like of its era completely, of the era of like crowds of fans hoarding outside the reporters who are stationed outside all of the grounds in the UK, and like the purple dildo in someone's ear.
I was going to say, don't forget the dildos. That's the main bit.
Like,
the tagline
just
for
like
this podcast, don't forget the dildos.
Don't forget the dildo. But like, and then like Peter Odemwingie getting interviewed, like Harry Redknapp always getting interviewed in his car. That was a staple of the time. And then Peter Odemwingie, so let's like pull it back before to what led up to that moment. So Peter Odemwingie was played for West Brom, Cardiff, and Stoke in the Premier League. He played 129 times, 37 goals with 13 assists. But
that's
a
bit harsh, like, because if you look at what he did, it was like one season, and then it was like, oh, he's now done that, and he's now sat on the bench these places, making bit part appearances and never finding that form again. Really, was it? But at a point, 100%. He was the dog's bollocks. Like, let's be honest.
Those first 18 months, he won the Player of the Month for the Premier League 3 times in that period, scored most of those 37 goals, and he just sort of came out of nowhere for a lot of fans. Like, this was obviously a time where, like, before, like, we get all of the scouting, we know everyone who's coming throughout Europe. He dotted around like Russia and Lyon, I think he was at, in the French league and stuff before coming over to England. And I just remember him playing for West Brom, and he just like burst onto the scene, scored an 81st minute winner against Sunderland a day after he signed for West Brom, like making it on his debut. Like, he was just like really, really good. Played on the shoulder of the last defender a lot, and had a really like cultured but powerful left boot. Like, a lot of his goals were like him cutting in from the right hand side onto his left, and then like curling or getting enough power like on a straight shot into sort of like the far side of the goal. And he was just like a really, really exciting player to watch in those like first few months at West Brom. And then things broke down. So the debacle, he got
just before
so he got word.
I just want to bring him up a little bit more, because there's only three African players that have won Player of the Month 3 times, and it's Mo Salah, Mane, and Peter Odemwingie. So you need to understand how high his stock was at one point. To be able to do that is fucking crazy, really, isn't it? Like,
there's some excellent competition to be involved in, some excellent names to be like talked about in the same breath. So it shows. But yeah, go on with the deadline day. So the debacle happens on transfer deadline day. He's told that he can have his move. Like, he leaves West Brom. And
what club would do this? What type of club would let their player go on a move and then pull it back at the last minute?
just really trashy teams, like really sort of bottom of the barrels. Like definitely ones in South London. Yeah, like, so Peter Odemwingie packs his bags, heads down to QPR, thinking he's going to come in there, do a medical, sign a contract, and gets to Loftus Road, and the security guard won't let him in because QPR are saying, hey, we don't have a deal agreed. We can't be seen to let you into our ground because Sky Sports have got cameras right on our door. They're going to see you walk in, and then it's going to get back to West Brom, and West Brom, like, QPR could have got like fined or something for acting in bad faith of having a player in their building who they hadn't had a deal agreed with. So Odemwingie's out in the cold in his motor, and he ends up pulling by the Sky Sports cameras, and they're asking him like, what happened? What's happened? And he's just the face of like a broken man, of like, he just really wanted this move, like, which kind of harsh on West Brom, but he had fallen out of favour. So like, yeah,
it's one of those what could have been, isn't it? Because to be fair, would he have gone to QPR and hit the ground running?
Probably not. This was a QPR team that were like bottom of the league, handing out very, very expensive contracts because they'd just been bought by Tony Fernandez. They had players.
It's like the single contract where he obviously didn't give a fuck. Like,
it's like the Joey Bartons of it all. Like they were just handing out contracts to anyone and everyone who, like Rio Ferdinand, who would play for them and stuff. And And it would probably, I definitely think they still would have gone down. Like they were just a bad team, awfully run at that time. And I'm surprised Odemwingie really wanted to go to them, but I guess the pay packet was big enough.
That's exactly what it would have been. That's probably why I was in this mode of trying to push it through. So maybe a bit harsh on him in all honesty, but if I was him, I would have been pushing it through like that for that pay packet because it was probably gigantic.
But then after that, so he has to, with his tail tucked between his legs, go back to West Brom for 6 months because no deal happened on deadline day. And then eventually he had a short spell at Cardiff, was there for 6 months, and then was traded in a player swap for Kenwyne Jones, another of our Peak Barclaysmen, with Stoke after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer replaced Malky Mackay at Cardiff and said, "You're not for me, Odemwingie, off you go, down to Stoke." And again, was like very average at that time.
Just fizzled out, really, didn't it? If we're being brutally honest, it all fizzled out half that moment. You gotta feel sorry for the geezer a bit.
Yeah. So the transfer debacle was actually not the weirdest thing about him. In his post-career, as he's also training to be a coach, he has qualified as a professional golfer with the PGA.
Oh, I actually saw that the other day. Did that come out the other day or something? Yeah, I think I saw that on Insta.
Yeah, and he hopes to compete in the seniors tournaments once he turns 50. So yeah, you might be seeing Peter Odemwingie on a golf course near you.
Or in the car park of that golf course near you. Cool. Okay, nice. Where do you want to put him on our table?
My suggestion is above Kenwyne Jones, but below Yannick Bolasie, which would put him at 9th, I believe.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Feels fitting having the move with Kenwyne Jones as well to have him just above him.
Yeah.
Slot him in there then. Nice, cool. And then, finally, predictions for the week. I think we'll rattle these off quite quickly because we intended for this to be a short one and we've gone over the hour mark, I think, already. But yeah, cool. Okay. It also looks like there's only one match where it's Nottingham Forest and another 14 side, so it looks like it's going to be another long one next week as well. I'm praying some fucking 0-0s here. But yeah, let's go. Saturday, 12:30 kickoff to start the weekend. Arsenal Forest. Oh, fuck. I'm going to predict...
It's a tough one.
I'm going to predict a 4-0 Arsenal, as much as I do not want to see Arsenal win games. I think it may be a bit of a shit show for Forest, this first one, especially away at the Emirates. Probably couldn't ask for a worse game to start if you were Ange, could you?
Yeah, no, I don't. I think it's going to be a real tough one for Ange and Forest. I think 3-0 Arsenal.
Cool. Next one, Bournemouth Brighton. Down in the Vitality. Is it still called the Vitality? No, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go for a 2-2 here. I think they're both.
Oh, you've robbed me.
Huh?
You've robbed me. I was also going to go Desmond.
Let's
go 2-2 as well. Yeah.
It feels like it. I know they try and build it up as a South Coast derby, even though I don't think either of them really have a rivalry with each other.
I don't think anyone on the South Coast really has a rivalry. It doesn't feel like in their blood. Like
Southampton and Portsmouth, that shit is real. I went to uni in Bournemouth and I saw that. Went to uni in Salisbury, so near Southampton. That shit is real. They hate each other, like big time. But yeah, that's one for another podcast. Crystal Palace Sunderland. I'm feeling confident in this one. I don't know why, because we're not going to have Wharton or Sarr. I'm probably going for a 2-1, if I'm being honest. I'm hoping we get that, like, what I said about Brentford. What was it, Brentford? Yeah. Brentford at lost them. I'm hoping we can get that one goal and be quite professional and just get the result over the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to, at the moment, stick with Sunderland not performing away and keeping their home record up. So this one's away for Sunderland, so I think Palace probably going to get the edge. I think I'm going to go 2-1 as well.
Yeah, nice. Another 3 o'clock, Everton Villa. This one could be a bit of a bloodbath, I think. From what I've seen from Villa last week, 2 weeks ago, I think Everton could run rampant here and it'd be a real dark day for Villa. I could see like a 5-0.
Wow. I don't think it'll be that bad for Villa. I think they've still got a very talented squad, but I do think Everton are going to come out on top. I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1, nice. I just think there's going to be goals that Hill Dickinson like that day, and I think because Villa gave up against us, and that's what I'm worried about. If they do that against Everton in the form they're in that stadium where it's rocking,
it can't be that bad again, can they?
They can't be, but I don't see what change. Maybe not having I said to one of my Villa fans, maybe not having Martinez in goal was a real fucking issue for them on that day. So maybe I'm being a bit over top. I'm going to go like maybe just a 2-0 Everton. But yeah, cool. Fulham Leeds, another 3 o'clock. How are you feeling about that one? That one scored 0-0 for me, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say 1-1. So I think I agree it'll be a draw. But yeah, I'm going to go 1-1.
Cool. Newcastle Wolves. This is a big game for both of them, in all honesty, which is mad to say, really. But I think both of them are looking for definitely looking for their first win. They're not looking for their points, are they? Because Newcastle have had a draw and whatnot.
Wolves are, though, so, Wolves will be desperate, but I do think Newcastle, with the new signings, probably going to have a little bit too much for them. Like, obviously, the new signings haven't had much time to bed in, given it's been an international break immediately after, but I do think Newcastle at home will have the better of Wolves, and I think this will be a 2-0 victory.
I'm going to go 2-1 Wolves.
Ooh, interesting.
I think it's gonna get a little bit worse for Newcastle before it gets better. But yeah, moving on to the 5:30 kickoff on Saturday, West Ham Spurs. I'm guessing you're going to be there for that one.
I will. I'll also be at Arsenal Forest. I'm doing a double header.
Damn.
Yeah. So West Ham Tottenham. It can't be as bad as the last time I turned up at the London Stadium where we got battered by Chelsea, can it?
So, it can.
Oh, it can. It can.
Go make my coffee.
Set you right up for that. I really, really, really want to be optimistic because I don't want to go to the game feeling just pessimistic. So I am going to go 2-1 West Ham.
Okay. I'm going to go 1-1. I don't know what to make of Spurs. I really thought they were going to be like a powerhouse a bit this season, but I think you've got that result. You stop the rut. It's very important that you don't lose this game badly, and I think Potter will understand that quite clearly. So I think 1-1. Just get out of there with a point. Simple as that. Cool. Brentford Chelsea. The 8 o'clock kickoff on Saturday, which is actually, I'd say, reasonable for a West London derby. Have that at 8 o'clock. Don't have Palace travelling to fucking Villa Park at 8 o'clock. Well, 7 o'clock on a Sunday. But
it's only bad for the Chelsea. It's only bad for the Chelsea fans who have got to go back to the Kent and whatever. Like, exactly.
Cool. I can only see a Chelsea win here, unfortunately, for Brentford. I'm gonna go probably a 1-0 to Chelsea. Bit of a dull game.
Brentford under the lights. Maybe they capture some old magic. I am gonna go 1-1.
I don't think it'll be high scoring, but yeah, I don't see the magic for Brentford yet. And I always feel like the Brentford magic is usually like midday at the G-Tech for some reason. Even though it's bullshit because they had that massive win against Liverpool there, didn't they? A couple of years back. But cool. Then last one for a Sunday, 2 o'clock, Burnley versus Liverpool at Turf Moor. I mean, it's going to be a Liverpool win, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. Like, they've strengthened in the fucking window. I'd love to see Burnley pull it off, but yeah, I've just got probably a 3-1 Liverpool there, unfortunately.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I do think it'd be 3-1. I think Burnley can score, like they've shown against United and Sunderland, that they do have a goal in them. But yeah, I do. I think the quality of the opposition might just be a bit too much for this one. Yeah,
that's it, isn't it? Cool, and that wraps us up for the weekend. So yeah, feel free to rate and review the pod and tell your friends, and follow us on socials at Insta, TikTok, Blue Sky, Reddit at Other14FC Podcast, and feel free to email in at other14fcpodcast@gmail.com if you feel like you want to tell us any reviews or feelings you have toward how your team performed or just what we're up to. Feel free to write in, but otherwise I'll catch you next week, Tom, for another lengthy podcast.
The longest podcast in the world. Catch you next week, mate.
Have a good one, bro. Bye.